Hello and welcome to Speaking of Conflict, the podcast where we discuss subjects around mediation and intercultural communication. Today, Teresa brought us a subject from mediation, which sounded pretty interesting to me. Do you want to reveal it?
It has to do something with laughter and fun.
Okay.
But before I reveal, Lisa, when was the last time
I laughed.
you were in a that's playing every second?
5 seconds ago with you.
Thank you.
No.
Interesting what has this to do with our relationship actually, but we will come to that later.
Okay.
So last time you were in a fight,
Mm-hmm.
or do you remember any fight where in the middle of the fight you kind of needed to laugh out?
I mean, mostly when fights are not like super serious.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, if it's like serious, I would not laugh. But when you sometimes like are angry with someone,
Mhm.
let's say maybe your partner was or like a friend,
Mhm.
and then you look maybe really angry or upset, and then that other person makes fun of you because you look so funny, or something like this, or then you need to laugh, or you need to laugh because yeah. I don't know. I think regarding this, not like when you're like hardcore fighting, but when it's more like someone gets upset or you get upset and then you do something funny, like you do something maybe as punishment, like nothing bad. And then the other person looks at you like, what the heck are you doing? And then you just need to laugh.
Mhm. Do you remember a situation where you basically laughed, but it was not joy, it was more like a stress relief? Do you know those situations? Maybe it could be also at workplace, not only in a relationship. Not like super hard fight or a big conflict, but maybe there was like a stressful situation.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of sarcastic one in work for sure.
A sarcastic
Yeah, or
is
like
okay.
not sarcastic, but because you said you laugh, but you're not really laughing, right? When you like, let's say it's super stressful and someone just say, "Oh, can you quickly go there and fix that?" And you're like, "Yeah, sure." Like when it's actually impossible that you can do it, and then you're a little bit like, it's not upset, but
But that's perfect. Like,
okay,
sure.
yes,
It's not
yeah, of
sarcastic in
course,
the way, right? It's
yeah.
more like kind of you're desperate and you're stressed, so you kind of laugh
It's
for
more like, yeah, if I grew another 2 set of arms, I can do it. Yeah, sure. you know, like,
yeah, kind of like that.
okay.
And actually, both of it's great example for what laughter can do. There's a lot of research, so I'm not sure if I'm able to introduce all of it today, but I try to give you a big like a overview.
I mean, I guess my main first tip or like guess would be as well. It's stress relief, like because it's an emotion that also creates sound, right? Like you're using your voice and you're letting something out. So it's this is why we feel actually better after we laugh because we put so much out there in energy.
Yeah. What if the thing that saves a conflict is not the perfect argument, but the right kind of humor? Conflict resolution is serious work, but that does not mean it has to be joyless. In fact, research suggests that laughter, playfulness, positive emotions can play a meaningful role in moving through a conflict, not by avoiding what is difficult, but by helping us to stay with it. Psychologist Sophie Scott and her colleagues wrote in 2014 that laughter is not only a response to something funny, it is also deeply social. Laughter can signal affiliation, reduce tension, and helps to regulate interactions. In simple terms, laughter can say, I'm still here, we are still connected, this moment is tense, but we are not enemies. Research by Campbell, Martin, and Ward in 2008 looked at dating couples while they were trying to resolve a conflict. They found that affiliative humor, warm, shared, and non humiliating humor, was linked to more positive conflict interactions. Later, Campbell and Morrows in 2014 found something similar in married couples. Positive humor was connected to a more constructive behavior during conflict, while negative humor was not. So the question is not, does humor belong to conflict? Clearly it does. The better question is, what kind of humor do we use to deal with conflict? Imagine two couples arguing about being late. One partner says, "You never respect my time," while the reaction of the first couple might be a defensive one. "Wow, congratulations, you found another thing to complain about." The reaction of the second couple might be to pause first and then say warm, "Okay, fair, my relationship with clock is clearly not striving." If both laugh, not because the issue is dismissed, but because the tension softens, the laughter can create a doorway back into the conversation, and the partner might say, "You're right, I need to take this more seriously." What happened? The first couple showed sarcasm, the other reconnection. One kind of humor repairs, the other attacks. Besides the emotional, there's also a psychological side of this. Kramer and Latao published a meta-analysis in 2023 showing that laughter interactions were associated with reduction in cortisol, one of the body's major stress hormones. And Sander Schellberg and colleagues found in 2020 that frequent laughter in daily life had a stress buffering effect. Interestingly, it's not necessarily the intensity of laughter that matters most, it's the frequency. Maybe it's not the biggest laugh that protects us, but the regular returns to small moments of lightness. Something that has also been studied on. And that, we have cortisol, right? This is the hormone of stress. And there is research done that shows when we laugh, it reduces the cortisol level. So, there's basically not a specific research that says, okay, always when you do like this laughter after you're stressed, it always will reduce your cortisol. But there is a way that basically when you have frequent laughters, that generally it's easier to manage stress. Like if you have kind of, if like talking about culture, if your family culture or relationship culture is like you laugh a lot, it often goes well with easier stress relief and also easier relationship. It's different studies that show different things, and I would kind of lead you through that.
Yeah.
But it is it's an adaptive coping strategy basically when you're stressed. And what you said with the job, like, oh, if I I have another 5 arms, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Like, it is such a good entry to let people reflect and at the same time not get angry. Because
Yeah.
let's imagine, is it okay if you take that
Yeah, of
situation?
course.
So we have the situation where someone asks you, "Can you please do this, this, then this?" And you can say, "Oh, of course, right? You think I can do everything." Then you would be like, "Okay, why are you so angry again?" Like, the
Yeah.
reaction would be
Yeah,
probably
that's
more
true.
negative.
Yeah.
But if I say, "Sure, give me some other hands, let me be bigger, stronger, and whatever," and then you are laughing, and then you're like, "Okay, I'm sorry, but let's kind of manage."
Yeah.
And then it's also for you easier to say sorry in the moment, or like have this connection.
Because you don't say something like bad or evil or a bit like pointy,
Yeah.
like that makes
And you
sense.
don't attack the other
Yeah.
person. That's also very important.
Yeah.
Because research shows that laughter is helpful by conflict resolution. However, not every kind of laughter. So if I'm basically laughing off you, making fun of you, being sarcastic, that's not helpful. Like, sarcasm is not good, kind of. It is a way of dealing with things, but it's not a way of getting connection. And conflict resolution is always also about connecting with the other person. And when I make fun of you, I'm deconnecting.
Yeah,
But if I'm laughing with you, we are in the same situations, we are kind of bonding, then it's actually super helpful.
Okay. I mean, now sorry that
No, go
maybe
ahead.
it's because I also thought, when you're in very, very stressful situations in the moment where you cannot laugh about it, but let's say the situation is finished and it turned out to be okay, and then you just sit there and actually you just have to laugh because you laugh about yourself, you laugh about, why did I just panic that much? Oh my God, like, what just happened or something. I feel like that happens also quite often, that you don't have it in the moment, but when the moment is over, and then you have the stress relief when you're like, you could just laugh. Or now that I remember, maybe as a coping mechanism, so there was a time that was a bit difficult. I will not describe the situation, but it was referring to different people. And then it was like another news hit, like, like it was quite some conflict there, and then something else happened, and imagine every 2 3 days something happened, right? Like, and then another thing came, and I was so done at that point. I just laughed. I was not angry, and like I could not be angry and be pissed. I just laughed. I was shaking my head and I was just laughing. Like I could not take it I mean, it was serious and I knew it, and then maybe after it got a little bit more serious, but in that moment I needed to laugh because it was so absurd. Again, that it keeps continuing in a stressful situation, getting more stressful. At some point you just decide to be like, what is happening? I was sitting there like, so
It's an amazing strategy.
Yeah.
Like really, I mean, we know each other for a long time,
Yeah.
and I know you always
Yeah.
had that strategy.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. You really need to keep it because if you have the strategy, it's such a powerful tool for yourself to not get too deep into the hole, and in the same time get a perspective change, and also for your body to don't go crazy with the stress hormones. Because like one study, for example, from 2023, it's actually related with COVID. So they studied people how they dealt with COVID and with the whole restrictions that came up. They basically found that humor can act as a coping resource, and it may help people to metabolize stress without becoming fully overwhelmed by this. And I think that fits perfectly to what you said,
Yeah.
because you were overwhelmed by the situation, but then you took this fun perspective, this joking perspective of humor, and then it helped you to release and not to only think, oh my, why, and now I'm angry, and gives you some lightness. And the thing is, with like just from a physical perspective, the stress hormones don't let us think straight.
Yeah.
So if we are in the stress mode, we cannot make clear decisions. So if you reduce your stress by humor, you are bringing yourself in this situation where you can think straight and make smarter decisions, and that's why it's so powerful.
I mean, I feel like the thing that I just described in you as well, it feels not really controlled. It's not like, okay, now I decide to laugh. I feel very much it's a physical just mechanism. It just happens to you, because
Yeah.
I feel, because it would be nice to be able to kind of maneuver it. And some people can do it, let's say, with, there's a tough situation and then bringing humor in so everyone can just laugh a little bit and then feel better. And I think that is where the skill comes in. But I think everyone can relate to this, or even maybe in movies or series. I remember there was a series where actually someone died, and then they went to the funeral of that person, and they all had to just laugh. They could not attend, and that then turned into more crying after. But because I think that kind of part of laughing is, there's too much stress in your body, and then your body just tries to get rid of it by whatever you have. I think there are like two different things. One, you can more control and see a little bit always the twist and the humor in difficult situations, and then bring that to light and express that. And the other one is very much a physical mechanism that takes over. Like maybe your body is just like, there's too much
It's
happening.
like crying.
It's
suddenly
crying.
bursted
Yeah,
out. Some
yeah.
people cry to have stress relief. Yeah, some people cry for other reasons, but also some people laugh for this relief.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you can train it. So, like, if you know about it, you can try to bring it more into the conflict. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's difficult, right?
Yeah.
If you're really in a conflict, you're emotionally blocked.
And you don't want to be rude as well, like when it's regarding another person. If you say
if
maybe
you
something
best
silly.
face, right? Some
Yeah.
people want to be rude because they are so in the conflict.
Yeah.
And then in that moment to pause and think, how can I make a joke now come into this?
Yeah.
It's
like,
hard,
Yeah.
but it's really helpful.
Yeah.
And one other thing I want to highlight on this is, you may now maybe think, oh, if I have the funniest joke once in the conflict, it will solve the problem quicker.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that case.
No, because I was like, I'm not so sure about it.
Yeah, the thing is, because you said like in the case of the series, you said they laughed a lot before.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, at least what current studies show, it's not the how much you laugh.
Mm-hmm.
It's more that you have frequent laughters. Always. So there's one study, which was kind of a short study. It was a case study where they observed people for 14 days,
Okay.
and the participants reported their stress level and also how many times over the day they were laughing.
Mm.
And they
Okay.
figured out that the people who laughed frequently um, were basically showing less stress symptoms.
Mm.
But it was basically not the intensity of laughter. So maybe one person had this really intense situation where they laughed for a long time and it was very intense. And then another had like smaller funny incidences, but multiple times over the day. So that actually shows it's more helping to reduce the stress level than one big thing. So you cannot say,
Yeah, it makes sense because it just appears more often.
Yeah.
So you can profit from it more often.
Yeah.
You know, it could be you laugh once and intensely, but then actually maybe 5 minutes later comes the stress and it was not there before, you know, so it doesn't help you.
And the other research from 2023, which is even more recent, was the one we mentioned in the beginning where they were observing the cortisol level.
Mm-hmm.
And that's interesting because it's not only the psychological perspective, but also the physical one
Mm-hmm.
that really showed that humor helps regulating basically the whole situation.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, there's not the research that says this much cortisol you cannot distinguish it on detail, but you basically only see the tendency that it enhances also connectiveness with other people when
Okay.
you have the reduction of cortisol.
Mhm.
So when we reduce our cortisol,
Mhm.
it basically gives space to connect with other people.
Makes sense.
Because, like I said, it's not blocking our mental capacity and the capacity to connect.
Yeah. I mean, I think that everyone can connect to it. You know, when you have a person around you that is very stressed, you are getting tense too. Like, I mean, you could try to, depending on how well you know the other person, you can try to regulate the other person to, like, okay, what do you need? Or, you know, like we all know that with different people, depending on how good we know them, basically. But I feel like when someone is very stressed, and especially when you work with other people, it's very hard because you need to, on the one hand, compensate the stress of the other person and then take care of the other team members too and figure it out, right? That person is very in their own focus. Everyone who's stressed is like this, you know, it ends there. You cannot, because when you're stressed, you don't have time, you don't have the energy to connect with other people.
Yeah.
So I think that's a very
You're
interesting
kind of in a
thing.
survival mode when
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah, of course, because you need to, like, either it's the time you don't have, or you don't have enough hands, you know, that help you, or you are overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So of course that you cannot, like, I don't know, bond and maybe laugh in that moment even, you know.
Exactly.
I think let's say when the whole team is stressed, then there might be even a bigger chance in coming humor up because someone was like, okay, I don't know, like, of course we take one more client. Yeah, come in, you know, and the whole team will laugh because they know they cannot do it, you know, like, or something like this. I feel like when everyone is stressed, there's a higher, I don't know if that's true, there's a higher, like, potency of that you can bring some humor in than when you just deal with one person that is stressed.
Maybe, I don't know. It would be interesting to find research about it. But if you have one team member that is always bringing this ease or this fun perspective, that's a really big gain for the team in those situations. And what is true is that the person from outside, it's easier to bring the joke inside, right? So if you have a team and maybe everyone is stressed, but one person is not as stressed as the others, and more maybe they are stressed, but not in the project where now everything is going crazy, then the person is more distant and has a different perspective, and then it's easier to also bring that perspective to the team, right? So it also always it's interesting what the constellation of people.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I know that very well in my work, like because we can have pretty stressful days, and it's more than good and funny when there is more people that have a funny personality with
Yeah.
you, or when I'm in a stressful place at that point, and I'm getting a little bit cranky, and then just someone comes and does a silly joke. So even though you were like before, you were like, and then someone says something, and you're like, damn, and you need to laugh, and you immediately feel that you're feeling better. I
Yeah.
think that's kind of a nice thing. But now I'm interested because that was more like physiologically and psychologically what is all doing with you and your body. But when it comes, let's say, to the conflict resolution part, like how could that look? Like to bring humor in I mean, you said it a little bit like to voice it a little bit with humor, but then I'm not really sure when you have like two fighting parties, let's say, how or did you ever bring humor into mediation? Yes, you did.
It's a key.
Okay, maybe you could share that because I have no
It
idea.
is so humor is super important, and everyone has a different kind of
Yeah.
humor. But if I'm with my clients, I really, really try to make a joke here or bring some light energy. Um, s- I mean, it shouldn't be a fake smile or something,
Yeah,
of course,
of
but
course.
bring the smile and fun and ease into the whole process. And if I'm able to make a joke here or there, and sometimes it depends completely on the clients and the
Yeah.
situation, the topic, of course. But sometimes there are those situations where they are fighting about something, and one part of mediation is also to mirror, right? Like I'm repeating what they say, maybe in the right same word, maybe in a different word, but with the same meaning. And then if I do that, sometimes they also need to laugh, and they're like, "Oh my God, why are we actually talking about this? Is this actually our problem?" Like, not always, right? But sometimes there are those situations, and then it is kind of, yeah, let's find. And then we have a metaphor, like a symbol for that. And then it can be also fun and bring light, joyfulness. So for me as a mediator, I'm not involved in the conflict. For me, it's easier to bring jokes in it. However, if you are in the process with a team and you're kind of trying to bridge, but you are not an outside person, I would recommend to try to bring some fun, some joy into the whole conversation. But it should be careful. It should be not personal. It should be not attacking. It should be not sarcastic. So it should really humor that brings connection.
Yeah.
That's it. For all the research I found, that is the key difference.
Yeah.
If you have humor that brings connection, it is helpful and good. If it's deconnecting, it's actually just like,
Yeah. I mean, you should never humiliate someone. I guess that's the point, right? When you like laugh just about someone. But
yeah,
you know,
but sarcastic, right? I feel
yeah.
like sarcasm is something people often use without noticing how much they harm them.
Yeah. I mean, that's also, I guess, the tone and how because there can be sarcastic comments that are in a more pointy tone, and then they seem to be more evil. And when they're a bit with a smile on your face or like a tone, then it really
But then it
depends.
depends on the connection you have with the person who's
Yeah,
receiving it. And
obviously.
that brings me basically also to the other research I found.
Mm-hmm.
Because what we now until now, we talked about if we have fun and laughter and joyfulness and connection within the process right now, in the moment, what is happening? What is happening physiological and psychologically? But what is also important, and this is research that has been done on couples. So here you can question whether you can transfer it to the workplace. I personally, from experience, would say yes, but this is something you can basically criticize also in the study. Is that the connection we have before we have a fight is really important on how we deal with it. So let's say we know each other, right? And we make jokes here and there, and we have this fun way of spending time together. And then we have a fight. Then it will be easier for us to go back to
because we already established this connection, or that we can laugh
exactly
about
we
it.
know that.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, you always have to always you have to see how it is and how the conflict is and stuff. But having those positive interactions beforehand shows that it is also really helpful.
Yeah.
On the long run, to solving conflict. If we have a playful interaction, affection, positive and energy, it really helps during the conflict to reduce. There was actually like study in 2004 where they observed the couples, and they really figured out that the conflict resilience for the couples were way better. They were more resilient, and they were kind of faster in finding solutions when they had generally everyday playful interactions and fun, and then they were more able to handle it constructively. And I would say that also fits for your work. If you have a good connection with your colleagues and you tend to have fun, then it's easier to, if there's something small going on, to go back to.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I maybe have to go back before, because like when we talking about like bringing humor into kind of the conflict resolution or the part, and to say a little bit, but without being sarcastic. Now I had got sleep on mind the example. Remember when you shared the story of the two sisters and the orange? Because now I thought like maybe that's like a brilliant example. Let's say when we're fighting, and then me or you would say, are we seriously fighting over an orange? And then you see, you laughed already, because I feel like maybe it's a little bit hard to think about an example. Hey, how we can bring humor in, like how would that look? Like what would you say? To what would you say? But I thought maybe that's brilliant, because like let's say we fight for half an hour. I said I wanted to have the skin, but I wanted the flesh, and I told you already yesterday, and and then 50 minutes pass, and I would say like, are we actually fighting over a damn orange? And so then I guess we both would laugh, and then it's like, okay, well, that's not worth it. Maybe we can share, or what is exactly what you want, because I just needed to Google all the time, because I got that in my head. I was like, okay, maybe that could be something. Like you could even maybe question, what are you fighting about? Like, because sometimes you get so lost about, and tiny things can be big. I don't want to minimize that. And in that moment when you're stressed or a lot going on, but then a little bit you could like, hang on, where are we right now? What are we doing? Or that could even be
it's
a little
kind of like an
chance.
amazing code word. Like you have the code of saying, are we at the orange again?
Or that,
like, and then the other person's like, how did we end up at the orange?
It even helps in fighting to laugh a little bit, and then but seriously, that's important to me. Like you could laugh a little bit, it's not that bad, but actually that point is pretty serious to me. And then you can kind of like let it fade out, have a conclusion, and not kind of end it on a bad note with bad energy, where I say, I need to go on a walk for 2 hours, and then we can talk again. It's more like, okay, well, done.
And you're not attacking the other person, right? Like maybe, I don't know, I just want to make an example to be more concrete.
Yes.
Let's say one person always comes late, right? And then there are a few ways to react to it, right? Could be like, oh, you are late again. And then the other person is, why are you complaining again about it? It just happened. Or why do you have to always call me out on that? I'm again late. Then if I say this to you, why are you calling me out again? How would you react?
Well, probably, I don't know, annoyed, or
you
just like, oh, come on, like, why are you doing this?
Am I really always doing that? Like the word always and all that. It would kind of lead to a reaction that you want to fight back, right?
Yeah, of course.
But if you say, why are you late again? And I'm like, well, my time broke again. My watch broke again. But you're right. I shouldn't,
Yes.
Like, I don't know, just making it, or like, I think I really have problems with that. I have to admit, it's really not my strength.
Or funny would be also, but now my brain just goes everywhere. It's like where the whole team would be applauding, like, she's here, she's here, woohoo, she made it.
Exactly.
But it was fun, not like with evilness.
That is so fun, and it opens the door for the other person to say, hey, I'm so sorry. And I really need to work on that. But it's a way different approach. It's great. It's a great approach, like doing that fun thing.
She made it. did you hear? She made it. That would be so funny.
Exactly. And so just the last source that I basically want to introduce, it's also from Campbell in 2008, who also observed the other studies I explained over the couples. It basically figured out that that humor generally just helped to build a way of connection without problem solving, just helping to connect, and it basically functioned as a repair attempt for a conflict. So it builds the affiliative, warm, and relationship protection. And I think something I want to talk about actually in an extra episode is there is a also phenomena on how much critic needs how much positive interaction.
Okay.
I will explain in different episodes. It's stuff different field of research, which is also super interesting. But generally, those what you can take from is that the laughter is creating positive interactions. So if we talk about something bad, we have a basis of many positive interactions to build on. And this really helps to figure out, and this can happen in the conflict, before the conflict, and both of it. And I think if you want to take one thing out of that, next time you fight with a colleague or even your spouse, try to, instead of reacting angry, make a joke, and then try to see how you're reacting and how it's going to develop. And I think it's not easy because we have patterns and we tend to, in stressful situations, come back to patterns. But just try to make a joke here and there, and I think it's a good way of trying to deal with tough situations.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's as you said, it's not super easy. Also, you need a little bit of sense of humor, because for humor, it's very important to sense humor, but also people. Like, what can I say to whom?
What kind of humor do they have?
Yeah, exactly. But I think, like, in general, maybe the approach is to, before you go really seriously into that argument, whatever someone throws at you, to see this little bit of light perspective on it. Like, okay, but hang on, what is she actually yelling at me right now, and in what context? And then you can, because I think, like, when we think about joke, it always sounds like, oh, something really funny and ridiculous, but humor is a little bit different. So it's a little bit like you have this reality you share, but you just swap a perspective. And then you can bring a little bit of a lighter mood in it, like you can, like, I don't know how to phrase this, but it's kind of a good way to just point out the reality in a different light. And I think that that's what everyone can do. Even if you wouldn't describe yourself as super funny, I think it's just like the attitude and the vibe, and it could be sometimes also just the looks. When someone, you would tell me, "Oh, Lisa, you did that again," and we would be like, sorry, like, instead of being like, oh, I'm so sorry, or you already get into this kind of fighting, but this is more like someone fights at you. So it can be a little bit more like the playfulness about the situation. Maybe that's a good way to describe it. I really like this. I think it's a good way, like, to deal with really different stuff. I can just share personally, the people that enjoy mostly at work, like to work with, are people that have a funny energy. And it doesn't have to be constantly jokes, but just the way they behave. All of them are incredibly, like, hard workers that I also connect these people with, but they have a certain way of dealing with this. When there's stress, then we all are like, okay, we hustle, but it's a playfulness around it. So it's always a good stress relief you can have.
Definitely.
Like, yeah.
Definitely. And at the beginning, I mentioned, like, what has it to do with us?
Yeah.
And I think that's I think something we can talk about in here as well. I mean, sometimes we have calls at 11:30, right?
Yeah.
At the end of our normal work day.
Yeah.
And prepare this episode. And it is fun. Like, we find always something to laugh at 11:30, and if we have to make a tough decision, we kind of find a fun way to talk about it. And I think this is something why, like, I personally enjoy also working with you, right? And I feel like it's something we always had been, like, no matter if we were 10 or like now over 30. we always have those moments where we look at each
yeah,
other and just laugh and
yeah,
have this energy and
yeah,
be silly
yeah,
around. And I think it's so strong, but because it's also like in the process, we also had disagreements
yeah,
or talking about problems
yeah,
or topics, but we always found our way back. And
yeah.
I think our
We are successfully doing that.
I think we are supporting the studies we just found.
We are the perfect examples for the studies. Yeah, but it's true. It's true. I mean, like I can just give that back to you. I remember also many calls where I before was very tired because of the day I had, and I thought, can I even make it? And then give me 5 minutes with Teresa, and I just laughed like I don't know, And then I was able to just wake up, wake up my mind, and just enjoy this call. And I hang up, and I was like, God damn, that was so good, So
Exactly. I think
yeah.
we both have this attitude to tell a sad story funny.
Yeah.
Like if something bad happened and we tell each other about it in the beginning of the call, we kind of check in, how are you doing?
Yeah.
And if something bad happens, we will not say, oh, this has happened. And so we're like, guess what? And then the story comes. And we are already in this mode of
Yeah.
talking about something with humor instead of
Yeah.
And I think this is something also you can take away.
Yeah.
Like if you have to talk about something difficult, do like this twist and say,
and it's not taking away the seriousness about it, right? And
Yeah.
also not like the people to receive is as serious. It can
Yeah.
be just like, again, what life threw at me. Guess, guess what? I lost my job, or someone broke up with me, or something happened, like whatever it is. But yeah, just try it out. Like it doesn't
I
have
fell
to be
down the stairs 10
I
times.
fell
today.
flat on my face. Look at me now.
Okay, and then
Okay.
we are exaggerating, of course. This is what happens right now.
All right, I think you got the message here. Like, try to have a light perspective on things. It cannot always go like fully right, but just try it out. It can prevent a lot of anger or fighting, that's for sure, or even helps to get out of it. So
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
a very important skill of a mediator.
yeah. Maybe let us know as well if you were ever in a situation that you could rescue because of your humor, or someone else brought it in, or is that something totally new to you? Maybe let us know what you think about that. We are very excited to hear. I'm very curious if you
Definitely.
experienced that. All right, then we're done.
Yes.
Okay, then see you in 2 weeks. Bye bye.
Bye.